Hello everybody. Don't know if anybody's on here. Live chat. Welcome to live chat. If anybody's on here, just say hello so I know you're on. Welcome, anybody's here. I see two people are on. Hope you're doing well, folks, and welcome to, we're going to show you around a little bit of Georgian Dublin, Fitzwilliam Square, and we'll head down towards the Grand Canal near the end of the tour. But we'll take in a lot of buildings, a lot of sights. Hope you enjoy the tour. I just have one person on right now, so we'll make our way. I'm looking at a house right here. I don't know if we're going to start off with a story, and this story is about two men that lived in this house. Now, these are not Georgian homes, Georgian houses. They are more Regency homes, which was the period in between the Georgian period and the Victorian period, and from like around 1830 to 1837. And this is the only street left here in Dublin City, where there are Regency homes. Hey, Poppy, how are you? Catherine, good to see you. Ronnie is on as well. Great to see you, folks. Hope you're doing well. I wasn't sure if anybody was on. I'm just starting the tour right here, folks. As I'm going to show you around Georgian Dublin today, Fitzwilliam Square, a few other buildings of note and streets, as well as we'll end up down by the Grand Canal at the end of the tour. So I'm looking, you probably have heard this story before if you're on my Grand Canal tour that I have done before. I walk along the Grand Canal. But this street is right off the Grand Canal, and it's right close to where I was going to start the tour. So I thought whilst I'm here, I'll tell you a little story. You may have, as I said, heard it before, but it's about this house right here, number 4 Harcourt Terrace. And in here lived two men that were the owners of the Gate Theatre in Dublin, which they established in around the year 1921, I believe. And they lived, as I say, in this home. And the story is not actually about them. It's about this young lad, this young American lad. He was only about 16 years old, and he was traveling around Ireland, remote parts of Ireland, like the Aran Islands and Connemara and places like that, very remote areas, to sketch and to paint. And he spent a year sketching and painting all around Ireland, and then he comes to Dublin, and he knocks on the door of the Gate Theatre, which is in just off O'Connell Street, Parnell Square in Dublin. And he knocks on the door, and the two men that lived at this house right here, the owners of the Gate Theatre, that was Micheál MacLeamore and Hilton Edwards, and they, I'm not sure of the guy's last name, Hilton, I think it's Hilton Edwards, I'm not sure, Hilton something. Anyway, they answered the door, and they looked at this young fella, and he said to them, he was looking for a job as he was a Broadway star. And they looked at the kid and they said, there's no way this guy could be a Broadway star. He's only about 16, 17 years old. But he was so convincing and so confident and just had this air about him that they decided that they would give him a audition for one of their upcoming plays. Now, never having acted before in his life, this guy just absolutely breezed through this audition. So they decided to give him a part in the upcoming play. And this man was none other than Orson Welles. How about that? Now, his first role ever in theatre was right here at the Gate Theatre in Dublin on the north side, Parnell Square. You may have seen the Gate Theatre because I do tell that story on another tour that I do, the great landmarks of Dublin's north inner city. We're going to make our right here onto Adalaide Road. As I say, this is Harcourt Terrace that we just left. The last remaining homes, Regency homes, as I say, built between 1830 and 1837, between the Georgian and the Victorian period. As I say, the only street in Dublin City, and there is other suburbs of Dublin like Dunleary and Monkstown where they do have some Regency homes still left. As I say, this is Adalaide Road. We're coming up to the Iron Hospital over there on my right. Bonnie, how you doing? Good to see you. So we got Ronnie on, we got Bobby, Poppy, Bonnie, and who else is on? Kathleen is on as well. Catherine is on as well. So welcome everybody, good to see us. Looks like there's a few more that just joined us as well. Hope you're all doing well. So I say we're coming up to the Ioneer Hospital, very, very famous hospital here in Dublin. This church right here, nice little quaint little church if you like. It's called St. Finian's Lutheran Church. It was built in 1863 and it was built for the Dublin Irvinites and what was known as the Catholic Apostolic Church. It's easy for me to say, which originated in the UK in the 1830s. But the church was then leased to the Lutheran Church in Ireland in 1939. So St. Finian's Lutheran Church. As I said, I was going to show you the Ioneer Hospital, and this is it right here, first class hospital. This was established or founded in 1844 by Sir William Wilde. Who was Sir William Wilde? Sir William Wilde was none other than Oscar Wilde's father, and he was the leading Ioneer surgeon of his day in the mid-1800s. And he was educated at the world-famous College of Surgeons on St. Stephen's Green here in Dublin. But he established this hospital. Now, when he established it, it was known as St. Mark's Ophthalmic, I can't even say this word either, Ophthalmology Hospital. And as I say, he established in 1844. But it moved here, it was at a different location. It moved here in 1899 and became known as, say, the Ioneer Hospital. Now, the first female doctor to work at this hospital was Dr. Kathleen Lynn when she was appointed in 1910. And in 1998, she went on to establish St. Ultan's Children's Hospital. She was also an activist and a politician and was noted for her involvement in the 1916 Easter Rising. She was vice president of Sinn Féin, Ireland's oldest political party. Sinn Féin means we ourselves in the Irish language. Sinn Féin just means ourselves or we ourselves. And she was also a member of the Irish women's suffragette movement from 1907 to 1916. And she was a great friend of Sylvia Pankhurst. I think she was the founder of the suffragette movement. Now, during the 1916 Easter Rising, she was part of the Irish Citizen Army, which was founded by James Connolly. I'd say the 1916 Rising was made up on the Irish contingents were made up of volunteer armies. So she was part of the Irish Citizen Armies, as was Countess Markovich. You may have heard me speak about her before also. And she described herself as a Red Cross doctor. But she was imprisoned for her role in the 1916 Rising with Countess Markovich. But they only served about a year in prison, and she died in 1955. But a remarkable lady, great doctor, and of course founded St. Ultan's Children's Hospital and was part of the Irish Citizen Army. And she would have helped all the injured on the Irish side during that conflict. Now, we're walking down towards Leeson Street here. As I say, we're still on Adalaide Road. This area is all Georgian Dublin that I'm on right now. I can't get the chat, I don't know what's happening. So if you're saying something to me, I just can't get it. It's not coming through. Sorry about that, folks. But I want to show you this synagogue right here. And there isn't not many synagogues in Ireland. There's not a lot of Jewish people in Ireland, and there's very few around different parts of the country. Most of them would be here in the Dublin area, in suburbs like Terenure and Rathgar, places like that. But at one time, this was very much there was a large Jewish community in this area, and this is the former synagogue right here from 1892. As I say, this area had a relatively large Jewish population in the mid-20th century, and this Orthodox synagogue would have had a large congregation. And it was in this synagogue that Chaim Herzog, the future president of Israel, he was president of Israel from 1983 to 1993, he made his bar mitzvah here. He was actually born in Ireland. He left when he was 18 years old. He lived just up the street in Portobello, which was known as Little Jerusalem back then, because there were so many Jewish that used to live there at that time. Satyam, how you doing? Good to see you. Welcome everybody that's on. Hope you're all doing well. We're making our way now down to Leeson Street. I didn't put a time limit on how long this tour is going to be, because I just don't know. Don't know how long it's going to be. We'll just keep walking and see what the story is, see what happens. But I'd say it could be close to an hour. 45 minutes to an hour, something like that. We'll see. So we're making our way down to Leeson Street, you say here. And Leeson Street, of course, very much a Georgian street here in Dublin. And you'll see there Fitzwilliam Street. You got Fitzwilliam Street, Fitzwilliam Square, and Fitzwilliam Place. Or maybe it's Fitzwilliam Place first, then Fitzwilliam Square, and then Fitzwilliam Street straight ahead of us. Plenty of traffic around here, so I've got to be careful while I'm walking. But Leeson Street, this street is named after Joseph Leeson, who was the head of a family of local brewers. He then branched into property development. He would have owned a lot of the homes around here, or developed a lot of the homes around here on Leeson Street. And this street is also home to some of the most famous nightclubs here in Dublin, down that end of the street right there, the Georgian end. There's also the Cypriot embassies down there as well. And the Portuguese and Maltese embassies used to be on this street. They're no longer there. And the Palestinian embassy is just over the bridge. Just over that little bridge there on the right hand side is the Palestinian embassy. I got a green light. One of the most famous schools in Dublin is on this street as well. CUS, Catholic University School here in Dublin. It's also on Leeson Street. Lots of lawyer office, solicitors, a lot of accountancies, insurance companies, big corporates on this street. But as I say, there's also, at night, when all these businesses, when all the people that work in these businesses have gone home, it turns into great nightlife, as there is a number of nightclubs on this street, all in the basements of these buildings. And at one time, this would have been very much, and this wouldn't have been that long ago, up till the 1970s, this would have been very much a red light district of Dublin, where there would have been a lot of prostitutes hanging around this street. There would have been, they probably would have made some money around here. There would be a lot of wealthy businessmen that would have availed of their services, if you like. Susie Street right here. So this restaurant's called Susie Street. I don't know if you can make it out. There is no Zoom feature, I don't think, on this platform on YouTube. But Susie Street was the original name of Leeson Street, where we just left. And they named this restaurant after the original name of the street. So Susie Street, it's a top class eatery, bar, restaurant. So this is Fitzwilliam Terrace. Now this is one of the, we're making our way down to Fitzwilliam Square, which is one of the 5 Georgian squares of Dublin. It starts Fitzwilliam Place, then Fitzwilliam Square. There's a number of embassies also on this street. There's the Latvian embassy right there, the Latvian one. And this is a new embassy, because this wasn't here before. It was at a different location before. But this is the Colombia embassy right here. So they just moved. I don't know where they were before. So the Colombia embassy right there. Or Ronnie Lane, hey, for the Jewish section. Hi Sarah, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, we got a number of more people coming on, which is great. Fantastic. The Hungarian embassy is also on this street. We also have, where's the Hungarian embassy? That's the Latvian one there, I believe. And yeah, the squares of Dublin have a lot of embassies on them. There's also, as I say, the Hungarian embassy. I think it's a little bit further down. Yeah, I see it down there. So that Sushi Street restaurant. There was a mentioned to you up at the top right there. It's designed in the house itself is designed in the Gothic revival style with stone railings, which has recently been restored. How you doing, boss? So a lot of corporates. Now you're going to notice I've told this story many times before, and I'm sure you guys that are on right now have heard this story before, but you'll notice the different coloured doors here of the doors of Dublin, as they say, and especially around the Georgian Squares of Dublin. Most of the doors have a different colour. They're painted a different colour, and there's a reason for this. And the reason was originally back in the day they were all black, but then the men at the house would go to whatever clubs they used to go to, whatever pubs they used to go to back in the day. They get drunk and they come home, but they put their key in the wrong door because they were all painted black. So they decided to come up with a solution to that, and that was to paint them all a different colour. And this is why you get the beautiful coloured doors of Dublin to this very day. So the man at the house could distinguish which one was his house, instead of putting his key into a whole bunch of other houses that weren't his, simply because they were all painted black. There you have the Hungarian embassy. A little further up you have the Saudi Arabian embassy. At Fitzwilliam Square, as I said before, which we're coming up to right now, this is Fitzwilliam Place, runs into, it's all one street, one straight road, but they all run into each other. And Fitzwilliam Square, it's a Georgian garden square. You'll see that it's the only private square, as I say, the gardens, the park, it's the only private one of the 5 Georgian Squares of Dublin. So it's only available to the key holders. Fitzwilliam Square, in the south of Dublin. It was the last of the 5 Georgian Squares built here in Dublin, and it's the smallest. So it's the youngest and the smallest of the 5 Georgian Squares of Dublin. There's 3 of them on the south side of Dublin, 2 on the north side. And the middle of the square is composed of a private park, as I said before. For more than 200 years, it's been accessible only to the key holders. And mostly the owners, there's only 69 houses along Fitzwilliam Square, and they pay almost 1,000 a year for the privilege of the park, which is in here behind here. You can barely see it because it's all trees protecting it. I guess they like their privacy. Makes you wonder what's going on in this park. There's the Italian Institute there, or Cultural Institute. Yeah, the Italian Cultural Institute over there. You can see it, where that blue van is. How you doing?
Hi.
So this lady has a key. She's one of the key holders. I'm doing a virtual live stream tour. Beautiful dogs. What dogs are they? Oh, she's got her headphones on. She can hear. What dogs are they?
They are sheepdog.
Sheepdogs?
Yeah.
Are they? Beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah.
I should have known they were sheepdogs. Well, the collies are sheepdogs as well. Collies, there's a dog called collies.
Okay.
They're known as sheepdogs or whatever. But these are their, I guess, original sheepdogs. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're so crazy.
Yeah. Very nice, lovely. And it's a lovely park, isn't it? Yeah, so it's a private park. So she had a key. She probably works for one of the families that still live around here. Now, most of these buildings will be occupied by businesses. You may have some families still living in the basements of them, whatever, or individual tenants, if you like. But for the most part, they're all businesses. But I reckon she works for a family that's a key holder. The square was developed by Richard Fitzwilliam. He was the 7th Viscount Fitzwilliam, hence the name. It was designed from 1789 and laid out in 1792. And the Fitzwilliam family, they were big developers here in Dublin and built many of these Georgian homes and Georgian squares, because they also built Merrion Square as well. It's known as after Lord Fitzwilliam of Merrion. And the Fitzwilliam family were first came to Dublin when Sir William Fitzwilliam served as Lord Lieutenant, or Viceroy, if you like, of Ireland. And he came from Milton Hall Estate in Peterborough. And he was the Lord Lieutenant from 1571 to 1575. And from 1588 to 1594. And they became Barons and Earls Fitzwilliam. Earl of Fitzwilliam and Baron Fitzwilliam. Now the third Baron Fitzwilliam succeeded his father in 1658, and in 1768 was created the first Earl Fitzwilliam. The 10th Earl was William Thomas Wentworth from 1904 to 1979. He and his wife had no children, hence ending the title Earl Fitzwilliam. So 1979 was the last of the Earls of Fitzwilliams. Now, so Fitzwilliam would be a big name in this area for centuries, as I say, beginning in 1571. Not only we have Fitzwilliam Square, but also Fitzwilliam Street, Upper, Lower, Fitzwilliam Place, and there's loads of other. There's Fitzwilliam Hotel, there's Fitzwilliam Townhouse, there's all kinds of different names after this name, Fitzwilliam. He was also, as I say, most of the Fitzwilliams were also Lord Lieutenants, or Viceroys, if you like. So how this is beautiful red brick buildings. I just love the red brick. So the Georgian buildings of Dublin are mostly all red bricks. They really are beautiful. Oh, here you go. Nice horse and cart. How you doing, boss? How you going, man? How are you? I like it. Bunch of kids in there. That's beautiful. The Fitzwilliam also, as I said before, the Fitzwilliam family, there would have been Lord Lieutenants or Viceroys. They would have been the people looking after Dublin Castle, which would have been the seat of British government in Ireland for over 700 years. So lots of these Lord Lieutenants, Viceroys were part of the Fitzwilliam family. Now there was a big escape there in 1592 from the Round Tower, the prison tower, whatever. And the guys that escaped, there were two Irish rebels. It was an inescapable prison, no one ever escaped from it before. But at the time, one of the Fitzwilliams was the Lord Lieutenant at the time. And they say he himself was the man that helped these two men escape. How about that? I guess he sympathised with them. There's a lot of townhouses around here as well. And also on the Georgian, even Leeson Street, Marion Square, and here on Fitzwilliam Square and Fitzwilliam Street, you have lots and lots of English language schools. So you have students from all over the world that come here to Dublin to learn English. Now we have more English language schools here in Dublin than any other place in the world. So there's more people come here to learn English than they do in the UK, anywhere in the UK. There's, as I say, over 100 English language schools here in Dublin alone. Now, it used to be your Italians, Polish, Romanians, French, and so forth would come here to learn English back in the day. Today, it's mostly all South Americans. People from Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, Colombia, Uruguay, all these South American countries that come here. And now, another reason why people come to learn English here in the English language schools here in Dublin is because the Irish government lets non-EU students work whilst they're studying. So in the UK, they do not let them work. And this is why the place to go to learn English is Dublin. And lots of these students will stay on after they finish. Now, they'll be illegal, but we don't mind that because they're great workers. And they do jobs that Irish people won't do today, such as working in the hospitality sector, your coffee shops, your hotels, your bars, waitresses, waiters and what have you, Deliveroo drivers, all that kind of jobs where other people, as I say, Irish people especially, won't do them jobs anymore. But they're great, great workers. Even though they're undocumented, we don't mind. This is the United Arts Centre right here, very, very famous building. It was established in 1907, and this promotes the 9 arts in Ireland: literature, music, dance, theatre, drawing, painting, photography, sculpture and architecture. And the club has a fascinating and rich cultural history reaching back over 100 years. And the United Arts Club was founded by A.E. Russell. You may have heard me talking about him before. His statue is in Merrion Square Park. And also William Butler Yeats and Countess Markovich. They established this United Arts Centre. I've been there before for an event. Actually, it was the A.E. George Russell Society, Philosophical Society. I was at one of their meetings. It was very good. This is Leeson Street, or sorry, what's the matter with me? This street they're on right now is Baggot Street. And Baggot Street, also another, obviously, Georgian street. Now, one part, the lower part of Baggot Street is Georgian, but if you go further up the street and you go over the Baggot Street Bridge, you'll be into more the Victorian part of Baggot Street. Now this street, Baggot Street right here, the lower part we're on right now, one time, dating back to the 13th century, right up until the 1720s, was known as Gallows Row. And this is where all the executions in Dublin took place, right here on this street, when it was known as Gallows Row. I think it was in 1713 it was changed, the name was changed to Baggot Street, which it's called today. I want to bring you up here. It's a little bit far up. I'm not going to walk all the way up, but you might be able to, let me cross the road here. You might be able to see a white building further up the street here on the other side of the road. Well, that is the Catherine Macaulay Centre, and it was founded by Catherine Macaulay. She founded the Sisters of Mercy in 1831, and the building itself right there, the Mercy International Centre, just right up the street, but it's a little bit of a walk because I've nothing else to talk about much up that way. But she founded it there in 1841, and they went on to open up locations all across the world. The Sisters of Mercy, lots of locations all across the United States, all across Europe, Australia, everywhere. They have lots of hospitals, lots of schools, and lots of convents called the Sisters of Mercy. Founded right here on this street, Baggot Street, in, as I say, 1841 by Catherine Macaulay. And at the time, she wasn't even a nun. She became a nun, but supposedly she's from a wealthy family, and she donated all her money to charity and set up the Sisters of Mercy. So there you go. This right here is the ESB building. Now, the original building, they knocked it all down. The original building was here. So ESB is the Electric Supply Board. Supplies Ireland with electricity and gas and what have you. Gas and Electricity Board. And the original building was here. It's been here for many, many, many years. They knocked it down and rebuilt it. So it only finished about a year ago, I'd say. If that. The ESB building. So we're going to make our way down towards Merrion Square. I'm not going to talk much about Merrion Square because I am doing a tour this coming Friday of a different part of Dublin, but Georgian Dublin also. And we're at the end of that tour, we're going to take in Oscar Wilde, the Oscar Wilde statue in Merrion Square Park, which is where we're coming up to right now, Merrion Square. The second oldest and the second largest of the 5 Georgian squares in Dublin, dating back to 1762 and established by Lord Fitzwilliam of Merrion. As I said before, we're talking a lot about the Fitzwilliam family today. There you go. There's so many, many famous people have lived on Merrion Square, including the great Daniel O'Connell, known as the Catholic Emancipator, the Liberator, one of the great men of Irish history. We'll talk about him another time. You've probably heard me speak about him before. Of course, Oscar Wilde lived at number 1, Merrion Square. William Butler Yeats, the first Irishman to ever win the Nobel Prize for Literature, also lived on Merrion Square. right here. I'll bring you to Merrion Square Park for a minute because I'm not going to be going to this part of the park. I won't be going to this part of the park on this Friday. I'll only be going towards the Oscar Wilde monument. Who else lived on this street? Erwin Schrödinger. Anyone ever heard of Erwin Schrödinger? Well, he was a Nobel Prize winning physicist, originally from Austria. And he won the Nobel Prize in 1933 for his work on quantum mechanics. And he lived here from 1938 to 1955. John Robert Godley. He lived here, I think, in the 1700s, early 1800s. And he founded Canterbury in New Zealand. Canterbury, New Zealand. So this is the famous Merrion Square Park. It's a beautiful park. Or Merrion Square, I should say. The park is right up here. The British Embassy at one time was on this Merrion Square, on this part of Merrion Square. This is the east part of the square. But I'm not going to tell you what happened to that. It's the only building that does not still remain here on Merrion Square is the former British Embassy. It does not exist anymore. It's at a different location in Dublin. As you can see, now there's a light show going on here in Merrion Square at the moment. I think it starts at 5 o'clock each evening when it gets dark. And a superb light show. You'll see most of the trees in the park will be all lit up. And I believe there's a Christmas tree. I actually did it last year on Hago. I live streamed it. So this is the beautiful Merrion Square Park, as I say. You also have the Slovakian and French embassies are on Merrion Square as well. And also the Korean embassy, which just recently relocated to this street, to Merrion Square, as it was on Clyde Road, I believe, in Ballsbridge before. But they just relocated. So this will be all looked. So it's called the Dublin Winter Lights. This park is run by Dublin City Council. Now, all of these squares originally would have been owned, the parks, I should say, within the squares would have been owned by the key holders of the squares. The people lived here. Today, there's only a handful of residents that live here. All of these squares today are all full of corporates, businesses, and what have you. But the key holders, the residents that used to live on the square here, they owned this park up until 1930 when they sold it to the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church's intentions was to build a cathedral here in this park. Only to find, when they dug the foundations, that it was too soft. It was too mucky. They could never build a cathedral. So they held on to it anyway, the park, until 1974. And then they gave it to the Dublin City Council, who still run it to this day. If you look at this mound right here, you see the mound right in front of me? Well, supposedly that was an air raid shelter at one time for the war. There was some bombs that were dropped. Now, we were neutral, we weren't involved in any wars, but the Germans mistook Ireland for Liverpool or somewhere, I think, and they did drop some bombs in Dublin. And so this was an air raid shelter. So I guess some of the residents of this place would have gone into this bunker around about the time they were dropping bombs here in Dublin. And there wasn't a whole lot of bombs that dropped here in Dublin. As I say, it was supposedly a mistake. They thought they were in Liverpool or somewhere, because Liverpool, it's probably only 15 minutes in the air across the Irish Sea from Dublin to Liverpool. Literally 15 minutes, 20 tops. So you can understand how they would have mistook Dublin for Liverpool. The great Daniel O'Connell lived in one of the houses there, the 8th house down. It's known as O'Connell House today. He was the first Catholic. Everybody before, he moved in around in 1805, and before he moved in, everybody on this square would have been Anglo-Irish, so they would have been of British descent. Some would have been centuries back. Some would have been nationalists, where they would have agreed with having independence for Ireland. Others would have been pro-British, so you would have had a mixture. But the very first Catholic to move in was Daniel O'Connell, the great Irish liberator, and he was this great orator and so forth. So today, the O'Connell house, where Daniel O'Connell and his family lived when they moved in around 1805, is now owned by the University of Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. So the students come over each year. I think they can house up to 16 students at a time, and they actually go to Trinity College, which is literally down the street, which I'm going to be actually doing a live stream tour of this coming Saturday. So watch out for that. It's one of the Forbes magazine ranked it one of the 15 most beautiful college campuses in the world. As I say, it's owned by, O'Connell House is now owned by the University of Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. They actually have a stewardship of one of the churches here in Dublin as well that was running into difficulty, in the, I guess, whatever religious order that runs Notre Dame. It's part of that congregation or whatever, and they actually bought it over, or they pay for all the repairs that need to be done for that church. It's called Cardinal Newman Church on St. Stephen's Green. St. Stephen's Green, by the way, is the oldest of the 5 Georgian Squares in Dublin. I'm actually doing a tour there for World Virtual Tours on the 22nd of December. Friday 22nd of December at 3 p.m. Watch out for that if you want to come and watch that live stream tour, as I say, on World Virtual Tours, St. Stephen's Green, one of the most beautiful city parks anywhere. Not just in Ireland, but anywhere in the world. Absolutely beautiful, full of history, and a beautiful place for a stroll. We're going to make our way down onto Mount Street now as we leave the beautiful Merrion Square. As I say, I'll be back at the other end of this square, like it's 17.5 acres, this park. I'll be back at the other end of the square, the other end of the park, come this Friday, and we're going to show you a different part of Dublin, Georgian Dublin, and then we'll make our way, as I say, down to Merrion Square Park right here. I think the city lights, the winter light starts at 5 o'clock. Some of the lights are getting going already. There you go. Dublin winter lights. We're a little bit early for that. It's not dark enough yet. We'll make our way. Now, if you look at these beautiful homes, it's hard to believe, but most of these homes have been here since its establishment in 1762. Now, obviously, they would have touched them up over the years. They would have been maintaining them, but they're still the original buildings. Now, what's quite incredible is that obviously Georgian Dublin is named after the 5 King Georges of Great Britain. George I, right up until George IV, from 1713 till 1830. And the Georgian buildings in Dublin from that period don't exist anymore, because they rebuilt them, knocked them down, rebuilt them, because they had lots and lots of money in Britain. Whereas here in Ireland, we didn't have the money, so we couldn't knock them down and rebuild them. We wouldn't have been able to afford that. So instead, we maintained them. And so the Georgian buildings of Dublin are older than the ones in London. How about that? Because the original Georgian buildings, as I say, in London, most of them were all knocked down and rebuilt. Is there any chat here? I'm not getting any chat. Oh, here we go. Physicist. Yes, Satyam, yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, Erdinger. This street right here is Mount Street Upper. It's, and you'll see right in front of us, up a little bit further. Here's another embassy. I say lots of embassies around this area. And this one is Moldovan embassy. Schrodinger, that's it. Schrodinger's cat. Ever heard that story? Schrodinger's cat. Have a look at it. So this is Mount Street. The Fine Gael offices are just, that's all part, once again, of the ESB buildings right there. Goes all around the corner from Fitzwilliam Street right across around the corner to Mount Street here. You get the Fine Gael offices here. They are one of the political parties here in Ireland. And the Taoiseach, or the Prime Minister of Ireland, Leo Varadkar, he is the leader of the Fine Gael party. But their office is right here, as you can see it right across the road, Fine Gael. Now I'm going to be quite honest with you, the political parties today aren't very, very popular in Ireland. Most people hate politicians in this country. We don't like them. Scoundrels, young fellas, scoundrels they are. Are they? They're probably scoundrels everywhere. But they're very much so here. Here's another embassy, Slovenia embassy right here, Slovenia. So you have the Slovakian embassy just down the street on Merrion Square. Here on Mount Street, you've got the Slovenia embassy. There you go. Now have a look at the church straight ahead of me here. I'm sure you can see that from where you're watching. This is, look at the shape of it. It's in the shape of a pepper canister. You might have seen in I do Powers Court, and you got the pepper pot tower in Powers Court Estate, the Powers Court House and Gardens. But here we have the Pepper Pot Canister Church. Obviously the name of the church is not the Pepper Pot Canister. The Pepper Canister, I should say. Not Pepper Pot, but Pepper Canister. It's not the Pepper Canister, that's not the name, it's the nickname of it. It's called St. Stephen's Church. Dates back to 1821. It's a Anglican church, or a Church of Ireland church. So it's not Catholic, it's more of a Protestant affiliated church. And Oscar Wilde, who just grew up, as I say, on Merrion Square where we just left, he was baptized right here at this church in 1854, the year of his birth. So he used to do quick baptisms. I don't know, today they seem to wait a little bit before they baptize children. Back in the day, they used to baptize them a couple of days after they were born, or maybe a week or so afterwards. Today it seems to be all a little bit different. They wait for about 6 months or more. The Pepper Pot Canister. The Pepper Canister. That's Percy Place over there. Some great buildings around here. As I say, none of these will be residents. You might have a few people living maybe in the basements of these places, because each one, have a look, they're like 4 floors. Because you also have a basement in each one of these as well. So there would be probably residents would live in the basements. But the rest, it's all businesses. At one time, it would have been all residents. Not that long ago either. Would have been all residents. Today, all businesses. Bar a few people would live, as I say, down in the basements. Basement apartments. We'll go over here. There's a couple of nice statues here. So if you notice, that pepper canister is right in the middle of the street. And this is Pepper Canister House right here. But there's a very interesting statue outside here. I've got to be careful walking the street because you can't see the cars come around either side of the Pepper Canister. The church, St. Stephen's Church. So have a look at this. The statue is called Memories. Let me look what it's called. Memories of Mount Street. It's just called Memories of Mount Street, depicting a child swinging out of a rope. Sculpted by Derek Fitzsimons. But it's pretty neat. And there's 2 other statues across the road. Look, we got a Starbucks. Starbucks are everywhere here in Dublin. They're owned in Dublin, the franchise is owned by 2 brothers. And these 2 brothers were told before they came to open up, before they opened up, they're Irishmen, but before they opened up in Ireland, they were told, you're never going to make it in Dublin, you're never going to make it in Ireland with Starbucks cafes. There's too many cafes already. Because they're only here about, maybe say 15 years or whatever, right? Not that much more than 15 years. Maybe even not that long. But as I said, these two brothers were told, no, you're not going to make any money with cafes here in Dublin. There's already way too many cafes. Lucky for them, they didn't listen to anybody, because they're one of the richest men in Ireland today, and they are absolutely killing it. But they're all franchises, so they have the franchise, or the franchise for Starbucks in Ireland, and people obviously pay them big money to use the name Starbucks and sell the Starbucks products. So they have, I mean, there's probably got to be 500 of them in Ireland now, Starbucks. In Dublin alone, there's got to be 40, I don't know. So here are two great Irish writers, two sculptors. I have no idea, and I've tried to find out why their statues are right here. No idea, but they are. One is this man right here, the big fella, and that's John B. Keane. John B. Keane was born in 1828. He died in 2002. He was a great playwright from Listowel in County Kerry, North Kerry. He was an Irish playwright, he was a novelist, he was an essayist, and he wrote the great book, The Fields. You may have seen the movie, The Fields, which was a great film adaptation of his play. It was released in 1990, starring Richard Harris as Bull McCabe in the lead role. Fantastic movie. It's all about land. And Richard Harris was Bull McCabe, and he was absolutely brilliant in it. It's amazing. But this guy was fantastic writer and so forth. And I say he was from Listowel in County Kerry. So the Irish Writers' Festival in Listowel every year will depict his great plays and his writings and so forth. He also owned a bar in the middle of the town on Main Street there in Listowel. A really, really popular pub. It's run by his son Billy today. I know Billy, I've been down there a good few times. Fantastic pub. Probably the best pub in all of Listowel. But I say the Irish Writers' Week is a huge event. The Listowel Writers' Festival in Listowel I think it's on June each year. It's fantastic. People come from all over Ireland to go to it. The other man right here is Brian Friel. He was born in 1929. He died in 2015. He wrote 24 plays. He was a great Irish dramatist, a great short story writer, considered one of the greatest living English language dramatists. And some of his great plays include Philadelphia, Here I Come, Gar Private, Gar Public. It was a great... Actually, a friend of mine's an actor, and he played the part of Gar Public in Philadelphia, Here I Come. Dancing at Lunasa. Meryl Streep played in the movie Dancing at Lunasa, and that was him as well. He was originally from County Tyrone in Ireland, in the north of Ireland, but he spent most of his years in County Donegal. A great, as I say, a great writer as well. So I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of these fellas. Look at the Pepper Canister from the back.
I'd be burnt bread.
We'll bring you across here to the Grand Canal. Grand Canal is lovely. I've done a few tours. A walk along the Grand Canal. It's another tour that I do starting at Portobello and coming all the way down to Baggot Street Bridge, which is right up the street here. But I love coming down here. It's a really, really lovely canal. It's 84 miles, 123 kilometres, I believe, starting in Shannon in County Clare in Ireland. And it ends up just less than a kilometre from here at Grand Canal Dock, at Grand Canal Square. Now we've got to wait for the light to turn green. When you miss a light here in the Dublin streets, you have to wait forever to get another light, for the light to go green again. It's a real pain. What can you do? Maybe it's the same everywhere. We just notice it more here, I think. So there's a cycle lane. I nearly got run down in the cycle lane, see? The bridge down a little bit further, it's called the Mount Street Bridge. And this Mount Street Bridge saw huge action during the 1916 Easter Rising. More people were killed on that bridge during that war than in any other place in Dublin during that 6-day war. It started on Easter Monday, 1916, the 24th of April, and then the Irish contingent had to surrender on the Sunday, 6 days later, as they were outpowered, outnumbered, outmanned, and outgunned. So the British soldiers came over on the ferry to a place called Kingstown, which is now known as Dunleary. It's probably about, if they walk, go over the bridge, and you go straight the whole way for probably about 6-7 miles, maybe 8 miles, 10 kilometers or whatever. You come to Dunleary. So these soldiers, they were only young men, and they would have got off the boats. The First World War was on, so all the older British soldiers would have been on the front during the First World War. So they sent these young fellas over, the British. Some of them weren't even out of boot camp, and lots of them, their families didn't even know that they were sent to Ireland to fight in the 1916 Easter Rising. When they were come over this bridge right here, they were, most of these young soldiers, a good 50, 60, 70% of them were slaughtered because gunmen were in these houses on this street called Morehampton Road, just on the other side of the bridge, and they were shooting down on these British soldiers as they were walking over the bridge. Now the British leaders, the captains or the generals or whatever, kept telling these young fellas to cross the bridge despite them being shot. There's a nice scene right there. Yeah, despite them being gunned down, they just kept sending them over instead of maybe hiding somewhere, because you can't beat sniper. I mean, how can you beat sniper? So there was a sharpshooter, Michael Malone was his name, Mick Malone, and this guy was probably the greatest sharpshooter in Ireland at the time. He was a great soldier. So he was in one of these houses, and he just systematically took all of these young kids out, and the most casualties of the British soldiers would have taken place right here in the Mount Street Bridge during the 1916 Easter Rising. Just thought I'd tell you that story whilst we were here. But like every war we had against Britain, we lost that one too. Anybody got any questions? Because I'm going to leave you here in a few minutes as we walk down the, as you can see, it's getting a little bit dark. It's not even 4 o'clock yet and it's getting dark. Oh, you got some nice ducks right there. So tomorrow, just to let you know, thanks Ronnie. Tomorrow I am going to the beautiful village of Enniskerry in County Wicklow. It's a beautiful, picturesque village. We're going to start in the Powerscourt estate, not in the Powerscourt Gardens, house and gardens, not that part, but the estate itself. And we walk through the estate for a little bit. We go over to this beautiful little St. Patrick's Church, and then I'll make our way down to Enniskerry village. A beautiful, quaint village, as I said before. It's been the scene to many, many movies as well. So lots of scenes from movies have been filmed there. Most recently, Disenchanted, a Disney film starring Amy Adams and Patrick Dempsey, was also filmed there. So if you get an opportunity, come watch that. It's just going to be a short one. I'm starting at 2 p.m. tomorrow Irish time, probably 9 o'clock a.m. North American East Coast time. So it'll be an early start for you guys. If you're in the UK, same time, 2 p.m. Irish time, same as British time. It's only going to be short. It's only going to be about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So short tour. And then come Friday, as I say, I'm going to be doing another part of Georgian Dublin and taking in Oscar Wilde and Merrion Square. And then on Saturday, I will be at Ireland's most celebrated university, Trinity College, one of the 7 ancient universities of Great Britain and Ireland, established in 1592 by Queen Elizabeth I, the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, and the last of the Tudor monarchs. I hope you can make it for that. Now, this day next week, the 20th of December, I will be doing Christmas on Grafton Street. Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it. Thank you, Satyam. Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate it. So, as I say, this day next week, the 20th of December, I will be doing Christmas on Grafton Street. I'll be doing it starting at 6 p.m. Irish time. So all the Christmas lights, you see them all. It'll be dark outside. It'll be lovely. We'll tell some stories. It's basically my Grafton Street tour, but you know, with the Christmas atmosphere, the Christmas lights, and the festive season. Dublin's such a great party town, and there'll probably be lots and lots of people in the street. There'll probably be a lot of buskers out. There'll be a lot of shoppers out, but definitely a lot of buskers out singing, and a lot of shoppers in the street. But it's a great little tour, so I hope you can join me for that. That's next Wednesday. Now, also, folks, if you enjoyed the tour today, you can donate if you wish. Buy me a coffee or through PayPal, whichever you like. I'd really, really appreciate it. Also, if you could follow my channel or subscribe to my channel. I think everybody on here has already subscribed to my channel. But if you have friends and family that you'd like to send this to, please do so. And that way they could then in turn subscribe to my channel. I'm at 816, and my Christmas present, my wishes for Christmas, what I want for Christmas is, the only thing I want for Christmas is 1,000 subscribers. So I have a good bit to go. I've got nearly 200 to go. I say I'm at 816. So if you'd like to send this video or send any of my videos or send my channel just to any of your friends and family, you can watch this older, I think there's nearly 170, 168 or something videos I got up. So lots to choose from. So if you wish to send some to your families and friends, or send my channel to them, ask them to watch a couple of videos and subscribe to my channel, that would be great. If everybody was to do that, then send it. Thank you, Ronnie. Appreciate it. And that way, you know, obviously I'll get a lot more. But they'll have to watch a video. They can't just, you know, subscribe to it, because YouTube, this is why it takes so long to get 1,000 subscribers, because you just can't send it to anybody. Because if that person doesn't watch a video, or doesn't watch at least 5-10 minutes of a video, it won't be counted. You subscribing to my channel, that won't count. I've lost so many. And a lot of times it will count initially, and then a few days later they'll take it away from you, because that person didn't actually watch a video. So they don't look at them as a real subscriber. So if you could tell them to please watch a movie, watch a video, and then subscribe, that'd be a lot easier that way. So watch a video. They have a choice of 160 something videos, and then they can do that from there. I really appreciate it, folks. That's all I got for you. Thanks very much for coming on. It's getting a little chilly. I've got my hat on. See, it's all stuck up there, you know. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. If not, we'll see you next week. I'll see you, as I say, Friday, Saturday. On Sunday, I don't know if I'm going to have the time, but if I do have the time, I'm looking to go to Darky Kelly's, but in the afternoon, this time for a really, really nice session music. So it wouldn't be the Irish salsa, it'd be session music where you'll have about 20 musicians all playing different instruments at the same time. It's called session music. It's absolutely fantastic, great Irish traditional music. This is not folk and ballad, there's no singing, it's all instrumental, but it is absolutely fabulous. So I'm waiting to find out about something else, and that something else doesn't happen, then I will put it up on my channel. So if you're looking to see any upcoming tours that I'm going to be doing, just go to my channel and you'll see what's upcoming. Because as I say, the calendar on the Facebook page for ex-Hago guides and viewers is down at the moment, because they're getting ready to start the new website. So this new website should be great. Looking forward to that. Hopefully it will bring in lots of viewers, but it's yet to see what will happen with that. But thanks very much, folks, for coming on. We'll see you all soon. Slán let agus grab a meal and mahagat. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great day. Thank you. Thanks, Poppy. See you later, guys.